My name is Rob Casper. I graduated from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in 1993 as an English major with creative writing emphasis. I am now the head of poetry and literature at the Library of Congress and live in Brooklyn, New York. My office is the office of the U.S. Poet Laureate, and in that capacity, I work with the Librarian of Congress in the appointment process, and then work with each of the Poets Laureate, not only to help them with the announcement of the position, but also with their readings and events at the library, and then with their Poet Laureate projects. Most of the Poets Laureate of the last 10 years have taken on signature projects in the role to promote poetry nationally. The work that I do started in so many ways with my fateful decision back in 1989 to take English 207, the introductory English survey course, with a then new professor, Rafael Perez Torres. It was my first class in the English department at the university. It was his first class teaching at the University of Wisconsin, and it changed my life. I was a business major and thought I would go into marketing. And because of Professor Perez Torres and the way that he taught poetry and literature too, in this big 500-person lecture where he walked around the room and called on people, it was really dynamic and exciting. I suddenly decided I needed to start writing poetry and showed him poems. And I remember saying to him, how do I know this isn't a fad, this thing that I've suddenly decided to do for reasons I don't understand? And he said, it doesn't have to be if you don't want it to be. And that was that. And I kept on taking creative writing courses. I kept on taking English courses. Later on, I got a Master's of Fine Arts degree in creative writing and poetry. I started a literary journal. And I started working in nonprofit organizations that led me to this job. I will also say that as an undergraduate, I worked on the Madison Review magazine. I was the co-chair of the University of Wisconsin Union Poetry and Fiction Committee. We did a big reading that drew 600 people. And I learned a lot of the skills that I still use today in the work that I do. But really, I learned how to approach thinking about literature with an open mind and a kind of capaciousness that Professor Perez Torres exemplified, but other professors too. And I remember all the professors I had, all the English professors I had at the University of Wisconsin. People turn to poetry often at times of great joy or great pain, weddings, funerals, the births of their first children, what have you, to profess their great love for their spouse. I think that still continues to be true for me and for everyone else I know who loves poetry. But you can also engage with poetry every day to help connect to what is strange and wonderful and beautiful about the ordinary, or to take what seems so out of the ordinary and help understand it. And the great thing about poetry is that it doesn't give us answers so much as it helps us live amongst the various questions of what it means to be alive, what it means to be of the present moment and in the world that we are in. I'll tell you, I love Audre Lorde's Coal. I still think that's the poem. I keep on going back to that as a poem. And I don't have any relationship to it. I never was taught it. She wasn't a poet laureate. That is a poem I keep on thinking about and what it means. And still want to figure it out. And I know that the point of reading a poem is that you'll never totally figure it out. You know, as much as you know a poem, if you memorize it, that doesn't mean you understand it or can encapsulate it in some way. That's the job of poetry, is to be beyond explanation. But yeah, I'll give you that. Audre Lorde's poem. Everyone listening to this, go read Audre Lorde's poem and, you know, see what you notice.